What is up guys, Phoenix here, and we are back with another video. This time I'm going to be counting down my picks for the top 25 Xbox games of the decade. This was a really difficult list to put together as we've been treated to so many games over the last 10 years. Anyways, the rules are pretty simple. No two games from the same series, otherwise this list would never end, and of all the games on the list they had to have been released between the 1st of January 2011 and the 31st of December 2020. So without further ado, let's get into it. Kicking off our list, we've got Mortal Kombat 11. This was released in March of 2019 and improved upon its previous versions in so many ways. It was developed by NetherRealm Studios, and the game brought amazing graphics and an awesome soundtrack to the long-running franchise. Add to that the incredible roster of customizable characters and fluid dynamic combat, and you're onto a winner. With an interesting story mode and impressive online multiplayer modes, not to mention the huge amount of DLC, including the more recently released Aftermath expansion. This is a game that will keep you coming back for more, and a must for any fighting game fan. Next up, we've got Halo 5 Guardians, developed by 343 Industries. This showed all previous Halo games how the combat should have been done since day one, with some innovative new mechanics. Released in 2015, the story ties firmly into the franchise roots, and the squad-based gameplay was, in my opinion, more fun than the lone wolf style of earlier games. The multiplayer really shines this time around though, with fairly balanced maps, fun game modes and plenty of post-launch content. Halo 5 improved the series' core gameplay without sacrificing any of what made the Halo franchise so popular among FPS fans. Taking the number 23 spot, we've got Diablo 3. If you've never heard of Diablo, you've been missing out. Best described as a dungeon crawler, but with more in common with an RPG, Diablo 3 released in 2012 and quickly became a fan favourite. The game never runs out of evil creatures to send your way, and there's abundance of loot to find as you fight horde upon horde of hell's nastiest minions. The game is full of archaic lore and interesting characters, and teaming up with your friends to head into battle showcases one of the best couch co-op systems on Xbox. Just edging out Diablo 3, we've got Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. This is a game that's largely been known for its challenging difficulty, and on more than one occasion has been compared to From Software's other big title, Dark Souls. No matter how tough the game gets, it encourages you to keep playing, to hone your skills, and fully immerses you in the world it lays out before you. Sekiro, released in 2019, is a game that pushes the player to be better instead of the character, and deserves its place on this list for that very reason. Destiny 2 is the next entry in this list, and follows the formula set forth by its predecessor, improving on it in almost every way. To date, there's been 3 large expansions, keeping things fresh. The gunplay is frantic and fast-paced, and the game is very well balanced. With a whole host of weaponry to find, dungeons to explore, an interesting science fiction story to follow, and a number of game modes, Destiny 2 is a game best suited to playing with friends. Capcom really showed other developers what remakes are all about with their 2019 hit Resident Evil 2 that takes the next spot on the list. The game stays faithful to the original while overhauling everything. The gameplay was true survival horror with just as many jump scares as you would expect. The action moments and puzzle sections were perfectly balanced, with an impressive level of graphical detail on display. It really was a masterclass in how to revive a classic without taking anything away that made the source material great. Next is Mass Effect 3. Mass Effect 3 did for science fiction games what Star Wars did for science fiction films. Released in 2012 on the Xbox 360, the game took BioWare's experience in RPG creation and applied it to a futuristic space setting. The game followed on from previous 2 games in the franchise and concluded the story of Commander Shepard in a highly emotive, hard-hitting but thoroughly enjoyable way. With a remastered version of the trilogy coming in 2021, Mass Effect is sure to gain a whole new generation of fans. When it comes to sequels, Fallout 4 had a tough act to follow, but Bethesda succeeded in bringing the post-apocalyptic RPG to Xbox One in an impressive way. Overhauled graphics, a huge open world to explore, and the countless side quests that the developers are known for made this game difficult to put down. With the inclusion of base building and weapon modification, the game gained an even bigger following than its predecessor. The game bugs early on were meme-worthy, but most were ironed out, leaving Fallout 4 thoroughly deserving of its place at number 18. Go on, admit it, we've all wanted to be a superhero at some point in our lives. Rocksteady finally gave us the opportunity in 2015 with Batman: Arkham Knight. The concluding part to the Arkham trilogy gave us a stunningly realised, crime-ridden Gotham to explore. Batman's greatest enemies all make an appearance, and season pass holders were treated to a huge amount of DLC, including challenge maps that would keep you going for hours trying to beat your friends' scores. Why this game and not Arkham Asylum or Arkham City? Well, the Batmobile. That's it. Each game was great in its own right, and each improved upon the last in different ways, but Arkham Knight was the only one that let us get behind the wheel of Batman's iconic ride. If you've not heard of Cyberpunk 2077 by now, then there's clearly a glitch in the Matrix. The game was hyped for years and finally released in 2020 after a number of delays, to mixed reviews due to the poor performance on the last generation of consoles. However, on the Series X, the game is a masterpiece and deserves a spot on this list. There was a beautifully realised futuristic world to explore with a fantastic soundtrack and dynamic gameplay. The story was an emotional rollercoaster with interesting characters and entertaining dialogue throughout. CD Projekt Red have had a lot of criticism over this game, but when the problems on last gen have been fixed, and they will be, I have no doubt that Cyberpunk 2077 will appear on more top games lists than this one. For sheer ambition alone, this game is deserving of its place. So what do you get if you cross rocket-powered cars with football? Well, I'm not entirely sure, but I think the answer would be pretty close to Rocket League. The now free-to-play futuristic sports game by Psyonix was first released in 2015 and quickly became a favourite. With an impressive selection of vehicles, online leagues and tournaments often streamed on various channels across social media, it's easy to see how something so simple amassed such a big following. With regular updates, Rocket League continues to improve both graphically and in terms of gameplay, securing its spot on this list. The premise of Minecraft is simple: build, explore, survive. That's literally about it. Created by Mojang and released in 2012 on Xbox 360, Minecraft players are dropped into a procedurally generated 3D world where they're left to do pretty much whatever they like. Want to build a house? Do it. Want to build an underground village? Go ahead. Want to build a huge pixelated photograph of your beloved grandma knitting your mum a Christmas jumper in 1982? Well, you get the idea. With an enormous following of over 100 million users each month, Minecraft isn't going away anytime soon, and if you have that creative itch, Minecraft is sure to be the game that scratches it. Borderlands 3 is up next. This was the most recent entry in the aesthetically pleasing and humorously funny Borderlands franchise by Gearbox. Best described as a looter shooter, this game puts players in the shoes of a vault hunter, searching for treasure on the distant world of Pandora. With a Mad Max inspired setting and fast-paced, fluid combat, Borderlands 3 released in 2019 takes FPS gameplay and gives it an artistic makeover. It offers a lot of improvements over previous games in the series and earns 13th place on the list by being one of the most fun games you can play with your friends both online and split screen. It was tough to decide which Forza game made it onto this list. It was inevitable that at least one of them would, but in the end I chose Forza Horizon 4 simply due to the huge amount of content on offer post-launch. Graphically, driving games have never looked so good. There's so many vehicles to choose from with a deep customization system that you can have hours of fun just trying them out. Whether you enjoy racing against trains or aircraft in your supercar during Horizon Showcase events, or drifting down winding country roads at high speed, there's something for all racing fans to enjoy in this 2018 offering from Turn 10. Oh, and did I mention there's LEGO DLC available? No? Well, that's a thing too, and pretty much secured its spot on this list. Older gamers like me will remember when Metal Gear Solid hit the PlayStation back in 1998. The game didn't have the best graphics, but it was unmatched in its gameplay. There was just something about it that drew you in. Fast forward to 2015 and several games later, Kojima Productions gave us Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain, and what a game it was. A massive open world of tactical stealth action lay before us with multiple ways to complete your objectives, totally up to you. Every minute of the incredible gameplay has a purpose, and the game truly reinvents what came before it in an incredible way. I would argue this is one of the best stealth games of recent years, if not the best, only just missing out on a place in the top 10. For a gaming franchise to last as long as Tomb Raider has, it must have something special. The series has had both high points such as The Last Revelation in 1999, and low points like the underwhelming Angel of Darkness in 2003. However, when the developers at Crystal Dynamics decided to give the game a reboot in 2013, they did so in phenomenal style. Taking the badass Lara Croft and showing how she became the Tomb Raider we all know and love was a risky move, but one that paid off. The graphics were brilliant and the level of detail was truly stunning. The game spawned 2 sequels, and while they both offered improved graphics and updated game mechanics, what really set this game apart was the way in which Lara was portrayed and the emotional storytelling on display. We don't see Lara as the experienced gunslinging world-wise woman we're used to. Instead, we get a vulnerable, young, scared girl who becomes that woman across the course of the game. It's a journey that has to be experienced and belongs in 10th place. Now, as a fan of the original Assassin's Creed games since the first installment back in 2007, it was no surprise that one of them would make an appearance on the list. But which? Each is unique in its own way, and no two tell the same story. In the end, for me, it had to be Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag. While the new style of open world RPG appeals to some, the story and gameplay of Black Flag, released in 2013, encompassed all that the original Assassin's Creed games were, while improving on everything that made the franchise great. The mystery of the Brotherhood's early days in the Caribbean, the pirate-themed naval battles, and the way in which the story ties into both Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Rogue really set the game apart from the others. Even though the franchise has undergone a lot of changes in recent years, Black Flag remained true to the original format of the series, slightly beating out its brothers to earn its place here. The Gears of War series, developed by the Coalition, has remained true to its own style of cover-based combat since the first release back in 2006. However, each installment improved upon the last, and each time small tweaks to things like combat made a big difference in how the game felt. The most recent entry, Gears 5, expands on this even further, with incredible graphics, fluid gameplay, an immersive story, and everything you would hope for in a 2019 third-person shooter. There's a lot of fun to be had in multiplayer, and the campaign isn't afraid to pose difficult questions. If you like shooting games, then you need to try Gears 5 if you haven't already, and you'll soon see why it placed number 8 on this list. In a time when Star Wars games have been hit or miss, Jedi Fallen Order stepped up and asked us to hold its beer. The game has been likened to Dark Souls, but the truth is that Respawn created a whole new beast entirely. The combat in this game was exceptional, and as your character gains new abilities, you truly start to feel like a powerful Jedi. Released in 2019 and highly anticipated, Jedi Fallen Order was the Star Wars game that fans have been begging for. With a canonical storyline and interesting characters, this game was a fantastic contribution to the world of gaming. If you're a Star Wars fan, or even if you're not, you still need to play this game. Okay, so at first, I don't think many people would have placed No Man's Sky on their list. When it was first announced, we were promised so much, and when it finally released in 2018 on Xbox One, it delivered so little. Though that was just the beginning. Over time, No Man's Sky has grown, improved, and Hello Games has evolved it into an amazing experience. Travelling around procedurally generated worlds, players can make the game whatever they choose. Be an explorer, be a settler, be a space pirate if you like. The options are limitless. The graphics are stylish and worlds are vibrant and full of life. It's tough to drop No Man's Sky into a category though, because it's so many things to so many people. Stated as having over 18 quintillion planets to explore within the game, more than you'll ever see in your lifetime, there's too much to do for you to ever get bored. That's why No Man's Sky appears at number 6 on my list. Kicking off the top 5 with a bang, quite literally in this case, is 2019's Call of Duty offering by Infinity Ward, Modern Warfare. A complete reboot of the original Modern Warfare from 2007, the game gives players the fast-paced, boots-on-the-ground gameplay that we'd all been waiting for. With graphics that surpassed those of any Call of Duty game that had come before it, the game was a hit with both fans and newcomers alike. With an amazing storyline and fantastic multiplayer, Modern Warfare took everything that made Call of Duty games what they were and next leveled it, bringing a whole host of new features along for the ride. If there was ever a Call of Duty game that deserved to be here, it's Modern Warfare. Up next, we've got another sequel. This time it's the absolutely fantastic Red Dead Redemption 2 by Rockstar Games. This took the open world action adventure format and applied it to the Wild West with amazing results. The level of detail in this game is insane. Released in 2018, the game won approval from gamers and critics alike. The game is absolutely huge, with an immersive storyline set just before the events of 2010's Red Dead Redemption, and a massive amount of side activities for you to complete. There hasn't been a Wild West game that has reached the heights of this one, and it's a game that just keeps giving with constant updates to the online multiplayer. It thoroughly earned its place on this list, and for me it's one of the best games of its type, period. If 2020 was the year when CD Projekt Red's name was known for all the wrong reasons, then 2015 was the year they were known for all the right ones, when they released The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. This massive open world RPG had everything you'd want, from a brilliantly told story to a world rich with lore. 2 large expansions and a bunch of updates later, it has gone down as one of the best games in living memory. Players assume the role of Geralt of Rivia as he attempts to find his adopted daughter Ciri, who's on the run from an otherworldly force. The combat is fluid and fun, and it's easy to spend hours playing some of the many mini-games on offer, particularly Gwent, which is like a battling card game. Overall, this game is hard to fault, and any RPG fan should have it in their collection, which is why it takes number 3 on my list. Just missing out on first place by a whisker is Rockstar Games' Grand Theft Auto 5. The game was released in 2013 and has been one of the biggest sellers year upon year ever since. The single player is brilliantly written and stands out for having one of the best open worlds to spend your time in. Ultimately though, what keeps people returning for more each year is the online portion of the game. GTA Online is a whole new experience. It takes the winning formula of the single player and integrates a large multiplayer aspect almost seamlessly into the world. With consistently good updates, events and new content, Rockstar never stops giving you reasons to return for more. That's why GTA 5 is ranked so highly among the best games of the last 10 years. So, finally we're here. We've reached the end of our journey through some of the best games in recent memory. There were so many I wished I could include but simply couldn't. I hope you've enjoyed my list, and please subscribe to my channel so we can keep producing content. Now, here's what you've been waiting for. The moment of truth. My pick, and the game that I feel deserves the title Xbox Game of the Decade, is... That's right, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. This game kept me hooked from the minute I loaded it up for the first time on my old 360 back in 2011. I have poured so many hours into this game, around 180 last count, and I still haven't finished the main story yet. It's that big. While the graphics are a little dated compared to recent releases, it's the gameplay and sheer amount of content on offer here that stand it ahead of the rest. With a huge open world to explore and an unparalleled quantity of side quests to complete, there really is no end to the entertainment on offer. With a special edition released in 2016 updated for the Xbox One and including all the DLC, it's a game that's full of lore and keeps you interested. No RPG since, in my opinion, has managed to overtake Skyrim, and as a huge RPG fan, that's why this game ranks above all else in my list of the top Xbox games of the decade. So that's it for my list. I hope you all enjoyed it. Are there any lists you'd like to see, or anything else you think I've missed? Let me know down in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe. It only takes a second to hit that button, but it helps the channel to grow, and I really appreciate your support, so thank you. Until next time friends, stay safe.